You're watching Saki Chronicles.
Oh man, Barry, I have never in my life hated you so much as I do right now.
For once, Creepy Joe and I agree wholeheartedly on something.
Jesus, guys.
This is a garbage idea, and you know it!
The both of you need to stop bitching so much and just calm down. We knew we'd have to do this, and it's not like we haven't waded through absolute shit before.
Yeah, but these are the live-action films. Some of the games were garbage, yes, but these motherfuckers make RE6 look like Elden Ring.
And they never get any better. At least some games improve along the line, but these things have the superpower of trash snowballing down a hill.
Look, we have to, Donnie. Saki has us under contract.
You mean this sticky note that only says, "Ha, I own you now"?
Seems pretty solid to me. Ironclad.
Come on, we'll just do some pros and cons, starting with the pros.
Fine. Well, first pro is obviously Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh fuck yes, she was dope as fuck in this.
Of course you would do this part first.
Oh, fuck off, Barry. Michelle Rodriguez, as Rain, was so dope in this film and is probably the one of 3 reasons to watch it.
He's right, Barry. The early 2000s were very kind to her. Fast and the Furious, SWAT, Lost. She was definitely the precursor to Gina Carano.
I have never once wanted to be a tool more than what she has going on with that flashlight.
Shut the fuck up, Dawn. You're gonna get us canceled. Besides, aren't you the one who didn't like characters who wore a fuck ton of plot armor?
To be honest, I don't see her higher than C tier, and you can't really praise her survivability when she's wearing all that plot armor. What the fuck are you talking about? Rain is straight fire in this. How can you say otherwise?
She gets bit 5 different times by 5 different zombies. Girl was running on danger towards the end with no herbs and shit. That's the plottiest armor I've ever seen.
I said I'm fine.
I remember her getting the antivirus, though.
And it does absolutely fucking nothing. In fact, not only does she still crack her neck before complete zombification like the pure alpha she is, but Kaplan also gets the antivirus and still fucking dies.
Damn it, I fucking forgot about Kaplan. This dude was supposed to be their computer hacker, but the guy cannot work well under pressure.
Would you open that door now, please? I'm trying. Shit!
Come on, man.
Shit! What's taking so long? I'm trying! Open the door! What's going on there? Crazy! What is the code? 0403196.
That's Paul Anderson's birthday, by the way.
This guy was just a shaky shit the entire movie. Not to mention that he's the one who lets all of the monsters out in the first place.
Why didn't you see them on the way in?
When you cut the power, you unlock the doors. You let them out.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, this guy was a huge con.
Did he just say what I think he said?
He said con, Joe.
Ah.
However, I do like when he yells at everyone.
I want you to go, now!
That scene just reminds me of when the Trinity Killer slaps Ron Perlman.
Get out of here! Can't you see we don't want you anymore?
Oh yeah, when they're on the pipes. I remember crawling on those to get away from zombies. Oh, wait, no I don't.
Okay, I will admit he does have one of the coolest lines in the movie.
You're gonna have to work for your meal!
But other than that, with the exception of Rain, he was pretty useless, along with any of the other hunk wannabes.
What do you mean? I thought for sure Hunk was that first guy who's in the James Bond movies.
Now get the hell out of there.
That's not Hunk, you senile fuck.
That's Colin Salmon, and he's the second reason to watch this film. This dude put everything he had into this movie, and it shows.
Give me a search line, but keep it tight. Move up.
I said, keep it tight.
Of course you can't talk about him without talking about the best part, can we?
Which is...
The motherfucking laser room. Good God, that scene is so timeless that even Capcom actually put it in 3 of their own games.
This whole entire scene is an absolute pro. Watching it cut through these guys is such a treat, not to mention showcasing how badass Hunk was at dodging it, as if he and that other dude rolled for agility.
That's not hunk, you senile fuck.
Doesn't matter either way, he gets sliced and diced as if he was in a Happy Tree Friends episode.
Jesus, he looks like chunks of diced beef. I fucking love it.
Is that really it? That's all the good things about this film?
Well, there is one other thing that could be considered a pro, but I think of it as such a waste of potential that it's on my shit list.
And that is?
That the scientist who is at the end of the film, the one who talks about the Nemesis program, is supposed to be William Birkin, and that the actor playing him is motherfucking Jason Isaacs.
Bullshit.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Search your feelings, boys.
Yeah, well,
now here
that's
comes
just it. He
Jason
could be
Isaacs'
anybody,
voiceover again.
orientated.
Unpaid and uncredited.
Jason, who has been in all of our films.
And yeah, he's also the bad guy in The Patriot.
Well, now I hate this movie even more.
Oh my God, the missed potential.
I know, it's really upsetting. However, he must have been busy with other projects and shit, but at least he lent his voice for the narration.
At the beginning of the 21st century, the Umbrella Corporation had become the largest commercial entity in the United States.
Well, I agree. That is a con, much like the actual plot of this movie, if I remember correctly.
Which is a phenomenal feat, I'm sure.
But isn't this movie actually part horror and part espionage?
It most certainly is.
How the fuck can you make anything Resident Evil both horror and espionage?
By making Resident Evil Revelations, Donnie.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
Not the only ones looking for that shit.
Almost too easy, wasn't it?
I would honestly rather go through a whole playthrough of that again than watch this tripe.
Well, I just wanted to point out that this movie is leading us to believe that the Red Queen is supposed to be a bad guy, right?
Correct.
I suppose.
I've been a bad, bad girl.
Yes, you have.
Good Christ, Joe.
You couldn't help yourself, could you? Couldn't go 5 minutes?
I'm saying she's shown as bad because she's killing everyone.
Because she does, you fool, mercilessly. I mean, everyone else gets gassed into oblivion like these offices were trenches in World War I. However, this little red bitch decides that these poor bastards have to drown.
I would think you of all people would like a woman swimming in piss, Donnie.
Go fuck yourself, you hair-sniffing puppet.
Enough, you two. Donnie has a point, though. That's really fucking sadistic, not gonna lie.
Fuck that. I'd rather drown than get Final Destination in an elevator like this poor woman.
That's no way to get ahead in life.
Corny as fuck, but I'll allow it. So where are you going with this, Joe?
Just to say that its primary function is to keep the virus from getting out, and even though its methods are horrendous, yes, it does the job correctly.
The T-virus escaped into the air conditioning system. You must understand. Those who become infected, I can't allow you to leave.
At what cost, though?
Maybe 100 to save 10,000 times that?
It wouldn't have to kill everyone if it had basic motion sensors that turned on while he was inside in the first place. Which begs two questions. One, why isn't there a proper card reader to enter that room? Can anyone with a visitor's badge just go in whenever they feel like it?
Multipass.
I gotta agree with you, Donnie. Why isn't this all-powerful security system online at all times? Does it have to clock in like all the other employees? And since we're tiptoeing around the subject, let's get back into some character cons, starting with James Purefoy as Spence.
That can't be right. Is that really his name? I have yet to meet a single Spence in my life, yet there are two in this franchise.
This dude does nothing the entire movie, and he's almost as bad as Matt is, too.
You waited?
Didn't know the code.
Both motherfuckers just stand around doing nothing, and neither help contribute with the others to survive.
The only thing remarkable about Spence is that he's the big twist of the movie, like he's Kaiser Soze or something. It was him all along. Oh, and he's sleeping with Alice too, which in itself is weird, seeing as how her and Paul Anderson are married. So he's going to make us watch her fuck, and we're gonna like it.
Actually, they weren't married at the time.
Oh, then let me rephrase. We're gonna watch the girl I'm crushing on fuck, and we're gonna like it.
Isn't there something about Matt being a transfer there? Because I remember thinking that he was supposed to represent Leon or something.
I just transferred. They probably don't even have me on file yet.
It's all fake. He impersonates a cop, but it's not like it does anything. They still have him handcuffed for most of the film.
Wait, the guy whom at the end of the film is in a tank top and wore handcuffs is going to become Nemesis? Now I see where all those Billy Cohen theories came from.
I just want to point out that at one point in the film, we see him sitting on top of that large platform, yet I don't see any stairs or ladders or anything, and it's got to be at least 5 feet up.
What's your point, Joe?
Well, he's still handcuffed, so how the fuck he get up there? Either he hopped up like an all-star Olympic jumper, or one of these idiots actually put him up there like a toddler in timeout.
I don't know, but we need to move this along. I think an absolute pro in this are the zombies in the film. However, some of the effects are pretty weird.
I agree. Like, why are some of their teeth already fucking black? I thought they turned only a few hours ago. Did none of them brush their teeth?
That's got to be the virus because it's the same way with Michelle Rodriguez. But yeah, some of these effects are downright dog water. Look at this fucker. His eye is so misshapen that it's more disturbing to look at than the chunks missing from his face.
They definitely act like Romero zombies for sure, and I'm going to give credit to the way they were introduced the first time. The way their shadows just slightly sway is probably the eeriest part of the film, not gonna lie.
I thought it was pretty freaky how one of them has an axe. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like if we fought armed zombies in the games?
Yes, you senile idiot. It's called Resident Evil 4.
Those aren't zombies, you tangerine fucktard.
Do y'all remember the final bad guy in this movie?
Spence?
Paul Anderson for making this film?
The liquor.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they used an actual liquor as the final boss.
That's so fucking stupid. A fucking liquor. 3 shoddy blasts and it's dead. It's such a mid-enemy.
Wait, it did something, right? Something stupid.
That's right, Joe. Well, 2 things actually. First, it can find and kill Spence without him making any real noise at all.
Oh my God. Doesn't it look at the camera and waggle its tongue like Gene Simmons or something?
So dumb.
But more importantly, it then mutates after eating him.
It mutates like one of those primal Zerg in StarCraft 2.
I remember now. It turns into a fucking cat or something. Like, what the fucking shit is that? Tell me Capcom didn't use that to make Simmons in RE6.
Don't know, Don, but for some reason it's able to turn Spence into a zombie as well.
Can liquors even do that? Because I can think of a couple cops that don't come back.
Oh my God, this movie is so stupid. And we haven't talked about fucking Alice yet.
How can we even avoid it when Anderson makes you watch it at least a couple times?
Not what I meant, you degenerate.
To be honest, guys, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but she's not that bad in this film.
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Hear me out. The first half of this movie, she's naive and vulnerable. You can tell she's scared and confused with everything that's going on. She takes Spence's coat because it comforts her. She's shocked and horrified with the outcome of the laser room, and when she finally does that famous kick, she's taken aback, trying to figure things out.
Put it back in your pants, Bear. I get that it's supposed to be an awakening moment for her, but have you already forgotten the other half of the film? She starts giving orders, and despite the Red Queen herself telling her how to get infected, she still goes around killing zombies like she's Sophie Tia from Soul Calibur.
Ready?
And that touching moment where she takes the coat, that entire scene happens right in front of the drowned corpse. It's the first dead body they see, and nobody gives a fuck, including her.
Not to mention that it just so happens she's the only one who knows there's a cure. Because for some fucking reason, they allowed their security to wander away from her post to watch the most secretive shit.
There's a cure! You're gonna be okay.
I was beginning to worry.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that.
I'm with Donnie on this. I can't stand Alice, and she will never get better past the halfway mark of this movie.
No shit. In fact, there's a part at the end of the film when everyone is dead, her and Matt have escaped, and she says, like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? You just did that entire playthrough with no damage and no saves. Even Wesker himself would be impressed.
Alice, you did a fine job.
All right, guys, you've both made your points, and we've talked way too much on this. We still have 5 other films to go. So where do you rank it? Because to be honest, this movie is a solid B.
Bullshit.
What?
Just calm down and hear me out, you guys. Yes, it's the first Anderson film. Yes, it misuses elements from the games like names and creatures and shit. And yes, it also has one of the worst main characters in a series, way before Disney was that hooker and Pretty Woman going on a shopping spree for franchises. But what I'm saying is this. Of all the films, this is the best live-action Resident Evil movie we've got.
That's true, but like you said, it takes shit from the games and salad tosses them as if Donnie was at a fraternity party.
Don't knock it until you've tried it, Joe.
That's only because Paul Anderson had quite literally made a script to rip off Resident Evil before Constantin Films approached him. This motherfucker knew what he was doing. He just got lucky George Romero dropped out when he did.
Oh my God, Romero was part of this too. The film we almost had could have been perfect.
Well, I can't argue that the film feels much better than what we get later on. As much as things piss me off in there, I know it gets way worse the farther we go. And if I'm being honest, as a standalone zombie film, this does it well enough. So I'll agree to B. It's like watching the Star Wars prequels now, knowing the sequels exist.
Fine.
Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we move on to Apocalypse?
Yeah, I got one.
Me too. But go ahead, Don.
So other than the fact that both handwriting samples that Spence is supposed to have jotted down are completely different from one another, what was his actual plan? To sell the virus to the highest bidder? And I thought the other RE villains were cliche.
And the world will burn in an inferno of hate.
I'm going to use my virus to clean the slate.
Ouroboros will be released into the atmosphere, ensuring complete global saturation.
Oh yeah, the whole espionage plot where Alice was the contact for Matt's sister. I felt like Joe just now with how forgettable that whole plot was.
You have to guarantee me that you'll bring this corporation down.
See, she's not all bad. She just likes cashing the paychecks they give her.
Living in that giant mansion rent-free must have been a great perk for her, too.
So I want to go back to Matt's stupid-ass plan.
We needed something concrete. Anything to expose Umbrella to the press. Prove the research that was going on down here.
He sends in his sister to try and gather intel in a time before social media to expose Umbrella, a company so fucking huge that not only do they practically own Raccoon City, but it seems they also manufacture their own bullets.
Good luck.
A company like that isn't going to give a fuck about what the Raccoon Daily Times says.
No cap.
Joe, you said you had one?
Yeah, so the final scene when she walks out of the hospital.
Naked again, I might add.
Yes, Donnie, naked again. She's wandering the abandoned streets of Raccoon City, and it's completely empty.
Like Times Square in Vanilla Sky.
Or like your inauguration back in 2017.
You motherfucker!
Or just like London in 28 Days Later. In fact, now that I think about it, why do zombie films have scenes with the protagonist waking up in a hospital? Resident Evil, 28 Days Later. The Walking Dead blatantly ripping off 28 Days Later.
Well, during her little Sunday walk, they show some cop cars. And on one of them, there's the tiniest star's emblem known to man.
That's kind of small.
So let me get this straight. They have the budget to plaster umbrella signs on boxes, the sides of buses, and fucking bronzed on top of the hospital entryway, but only spent 50 cents to get one out of a sticker vending machine at your local Kmart to slap on. Why even fucking bother?
All right, Joe, you made your point. Calm down or you'll have another stroke.
Haven't the stars been through enough without the Hollywood's biggest simp shitting all over them?
Oh, man. If you hated that, then I hesitate going into Apocalypse.
Awesome. Are we done then?
Not even close, so here we go.
This is so fucking stupid, Bear. Let's just cast them all into D tier and be done with it.
You're not being serious, are you?
Damn it, Donnie. You know Saki won't let us, so we should try to endure and get through this.
Cast it into the fire! Destroy it!
Fine. Now, to be completely honest, I did remember being excited for this one when it came out.
Of course, why wouldn't you be? They actually use the source material for references from the games.
That's good, right? That means it should be better.
Hold that thought, Joe. Because for some fucking reason, they completely botch how the city gets infected, even though it's shown that Umbrella had the technology to prevent it.
Explain, Barry.
Well, for starters, in the last movie, they show that Kaplan has a small-ass computer that will show the entire schematics of the hive, as well as the thermal readings of everyone. But Apocalypse opens up with these assholes literally opening up the hive just because of curiosity.
We're reopening the hive. I want to know what went on down there.
Curiosity literally killed the city.
If their shitty security forces had that tech, why don't the scientists use it before opening shit that could potentially be catastrophic?
You just said thermal readings, Bear. Zombies wouldn't give off heat.
Ah, he's right, Joe. The fuckwits actually do bring in a device that can sense motion. But for some reason, they just go in anyway, despite none of them packing any real firepower.
That's right. They didn't go with the rats infecting the city, but some deadheads bum rushing the exit like it was Black Friday or something. A little cliche, but whatever works, I guess.
Speaking of cliche, how did you like how in yet another zombie film, someone important in a vehicle gets T-boned?
Get your belt back on!
South Park did it better, though.
And the time it takes the city to get completely infected is astonishing. 13 hours? Christ.
Well, we're already in the swing of things, so let's start up with the pros and cons.
There's really only one pro in this entire film, Barry. And like we've already stated, it's the inclusion of actual characters from the games. There's Carlos, Nikolai, Nemesis, and Jill. Hell, there's even an Ashford. But for some reason, they put him in a wheelchair, mixing two founding Umbrella members into one.
At least they didn't fuck up his name, right? Like they did with Spence.
His name is Charles.
Shit.
That's true, they finally did put legacy characters into it, but goddamn did they fuck everything up. In fact, I'll even go as far as to say that Resident Evil Apocalypse is a precursor to The Last Jedi, but we'll get into that later. Right now, I want to talk about the new ones, starting with Terry Morales.
Who?
The reporter, I think.
There was a reporter?
I can't actually blame you for not remembering her. She really didn't do jack shit.
She's that generic reporter that wants to get a Pulitzer for breaking the news on corruption or whatever.
You'd know all about that, wouldn't you, Donnie?
Like your old wrinkled mitts are sparkling, you demented fuck.
Focus, Don.
Well, just like all fake-ass reporters, this little shit begins to run away the moment things get too hairy for her.
I'm getting out of here.
Hey! Hey! Hey, no!
Must be from CNN.
The way she died was fucking horrific, though. Just a bunch of zombie kids eating her like she's cake at a fat kid's birthday party.
Wouldn't that just be the most ironic way to go for Mr. Creepy over here?
Oh yeah, like the mere mention of cake didn't make your mouth water, lard ass.
Speaking of kids, whenever a child is part of the plot in one of these horror films, I can't fucking stand them. And the inclusion of What's-Her-Face is no exception.
Angela Ashford, right?
Of course, you can't remember what you had for breakfast, but you remember a little girl's name from a movie 20 years ago.
I remember it because Jill makes a stupid remark about it in the film.
Angela Ashford, huh? That's a pretty grown-up name for a little girl.
All my friends call me Angie.
Fine, fair enough.
Either way, and don't you say a fucking thing, Flop Top. But I think you're being too harsh on her, Barry. She's just a kid, and child actors are always 50-50.
Angie Ashford is terrible for two reasons. First, she creates a complete contradiction to the previous film.
Bear, you do know that she was just a computer program in the first one, right? That wasn't really her. Even Joe would know that. He can smell the difference.
I can smell the monkey shit you used to plaster that rug on your scalp, you fat fucknut.
I know that, Dawn, but what I'm saying is this. In this movie, she's sweet and adorable and kind and gives off innocence.
You can't help her. Not now.
However, the Red Queen is completely bloodthirsty.
Do it! Kill her! Kill her!
So why did her father feel the need to make it that way and model it after her?
She's a holographic representation of the Red Queen.
You have to get out.
Modeled after the head programmer's daughter. They tried to deceive us.
You're all going to die down here.
What kind of shit-ass father creates a killing machine to mimic his own daughter? And not only that, but puts her face on it too. What an asshole.
There are worse ones.
You're right, that does seem pretty fucked, actually.
And secondly, does this movie actually tell us that the origin of the T-virus was to help his little girl walk?
I had to walk on crutches. They said I'd never get better. He found a way to make me stronger.
The T-virus.
It's honestly better than fucking leeches, Bear.
Anything is better than leeches, Joe, no arguments, but I think I understand what he's saying. At least with leeches or whatever the hell Daddy Wesker was doing with his naked pet tyrant.
It's magnificent.
It's not something like, I created the most deadly virus in the world with the best intentions, I swear.
It's a little on the nose with a certain theme park creator, isn't it? Not to mention that Ashford is not only able to call any phone in any part of the city, but is also able to find his kid with pinpoint accuracy. Like this was the Dark Knight or something. It's basically Child Tracker 2.0.
Dude, no way. I'm not wearing Child Tracker.
You can barely even tell you have one on.
It makes you question why the other Umbrella Stooges just didn't do the same thing to get her. I mean, what was the fucking point in getting her in the first place if they weren't even going to try and find her? Isn't this guy super important to them? You'd think they'd at least try to fetch his kid if that's all that he wanted.
I'm not leaving without my daughter.
Apparently he's not that important. Or maybe he is. I don't actually know, because at the end, Discount Birkin literally chooses to kill him and not the other actual randos sitting there. And then the fucker explains how important he was.
He was a valuable asset to the corporation. I don't even care about these people.
Then why'd you shoot him, you fucktard? Anyone else sitting there would have been better. Like, seriously, you chose the top researcher over fucking Mike Epps?
That's racist, right?
Most deaf.
Oh, a huge LJ fan, are we? I forgot all the ass kicking he did in this movie.
Shit! Somebody get this bitch off of me!
This guy didn't do shit but make jokes all the damn time. It's like playing Revelations again, but only as Quentin Grinder.
GTA, motherfucker! 10 points! I see you, motherfucker! You just told me you got bit, motherfucker. I'm hanging with you and shit.
Doesn't he talk shit to those STARS members, pulling out his guns and brags about them?
Motherfucker, please, look. My shit is custom.
Dude actually turns down a shotty so he can keep his custom deagles, but then never actually uses them when Nemi shows up. And then he just fucking pisses himself like he was Donnie making a home movie.
Respect.
Well, Joe, at least now we know why the RPD's budget is so small that they couldn't afford proper decals for the stars. I mean, look at how many there are in this place. There's more STARS members in this movie than in the actual fucking games.
I just love how they're introduced too.
They're STARS. Special Tactics and Rescue Squad. They're the best.
The best? Bitch, they're hiding in a movie theater trying to wait out the disaster instead of helping people. I mean, Christ, you have Wyatt Earp sitting on the roof, sniping zombies and cheering like he's been waiting years for this moment. How the fuck did he even pass the mental exams? Did fucking Wesker hire him or something?
I got the power.
Speaking of weird STARS members, just who the hell is this guy? Is that supposed to be Kenneth Sullivan or something?
Now that's racist.
Or senile.
Bullshit, he does not get a pass.
I honestly can't remember, I swear.
It should have been Brad Vickers with how he's written. A surviving STARS member that links up with Jill, gets bit, dies from Nemesis, and then becomes a zombie later on. It's practically the same guy.
Jesus, this movie pisses me off, so let's just get straight into the meat of it already.
Fair enough, we've gone through the shitty new characters anyways. Let's just go on with the OGs, starting with Carlos and Nikolai.
We're assets, Nikolai. Expendable assets. And we've just been expended.
Okay, I can't be the only one that was completely disappointed when they didn't have Nikolai turn on Carlos or fuck them over somehow. I was expecting it the entire movie, but then he just fucking dies. I couldn't believe they actually brought Scott Farkas in, and he isn't an evil son of a bitch with yellow eyes.
He had yellow eyes, so help me God, yellow eyes.
I'm with Donnie. I couldn't believe that they just did a complete 180 on his personality like that. It was almost like Anderson didn't want to deal with 3 antagonists in a single movie.
Yeah, who would want to do something like that in the early 2000s? Right, Spider-Man 3?
Gonna cry?
His personality isn't the only one that changed in here. Fucking Carlos is almost just as bad too.
He's still a mercenary sent down to help survivors, Donnie. How is that different?
His orders are still the same, yes, but this merc's attitude and reliance on his employers have completely disappeared. I mean, this motherfucker literally goes against orders before jumping out of a fucking helicopter to save a civilian.
Take us down now! She is a civilian. We have our order. Fuck orders!
Cheeky piece of shit obviously has auto-aim on. Every shot killing a zombie as he free falls 8 stories and not a single bullet hits the woman. Fucking brilliant.
Michael Bay would be proud.
This movie has so many of those scenes, it's fucking nauseating, and it doesn't even fucking matter. The bitten bitch is already doomed before he even jumped. He just basically showed off to get a throb out of Nikolai.
I agree that his blatant disregard for his employers is a little out of character. The OG Carlos was completely in line.
We're just mercenaries, hired hands. Do you really think the master would tell his dogs why they have to retrieve the stick he just threw?
While this one is more like the Carlos we get 16 years later in the 3-make.
But even in the 3-make, although he questions the orders, he still follows them regardless.
We can't turn him over to the company. That's not our call to make.
Wade, if I remember correctly, he gets fucking bit, right? Like for over half of his screen time, he's about to turn. And yet his comrade Yuri changes literally from one scene to the next.
Nikolai, put me down.
Yeah, that's right. The whole antivirus bullshit again, but this time it actually saves someone.
What's your lucky day?
To be honest, he's barely in this movie, and I sometimes forget that he's even around. But that's not even the worst part about him, but the fact that he literally only says one line to Jill in the entire film.
How many of you guys are there?
What do you mean?
Instead, he just flirts with Alice as much as he can, and it's shit like this that makes this entire franchise just complete trash.
Shit, he's winding up again.
It's like Rebecca all over again.
Fuck the both of you. Listen, first things first, Jill is an absolute pro in this heap of garbage. Her casting, perfect. Her personality?
I'm leaving town. I suggest you do the same.
Exactly how it should be. Every single fucking scene she's in, the best. But this simping troglodyte had actually written his crush into being the biggest Mary Sue. Every scene that Jill is in gets overshadowed by the fact that Alice is better than her.
Who the fuck are you?
From the liquors in the church to the scene in the school kitchen, Alice is just a teleporting badass that can't be beat.
I'm good. But I'm not that good.
You're right, Bear, but it's not just the action scenes either, but even emotionally she's shown to be better. A couple of times, Jill is shown to be mentally drained and sentimental, as anyone would be in her situation.
Just go! Look, I'm sorry about your friend.
It's almost like Anderson was purposefully showing her as weak, where in contrast, Alice is strong and cool-headed. A true survivor amongst these zombies, which is the stupidest thing, since only a few days ago, she was in the same situation.
You're gonna have to kill me. No. Otherwise, we all die down here.
24 hours later.
Hold it. What do you think you're doing?
You should take care of him now.
It's like Constantin Films told him that he needed to officially use Jill in his screenplay. So he pouted and said, "Fine, but my original character will be better than her in every way. Jill won't be able to kill lickers, but Alice can. Jill can't protect a little girl better than my Alice."
Exactly. And this all circles back to what I said before about these being a precursor to the Star Wars sequels. Alice is just so damn good because she has the T-virus inside of her that she's better than a seasoned cop in just 24 hours, even though the game showed that Jill was the peak of endurance and survivability. And the biggest flawed shit in this movie? Jill doesn't deal with Nemesis. In fact, Nemesis won't even be interested in Jill at all. It'll spend the entire movie focusing on Alice, and we'll get to see how much better she is at fighting him.
Primary target is identified.
Gentlemen, this is what we've been waiting for. The Nemesis program is now fully activated.
And that's the biggest crime this movie does, because Resident Evil 3 is supposed to be Jill's game, Jill's story. In fact, it's the first game in the franchise where you can't pick to be someone else. You have to be Jill, and it was amazing. But this fucking fan fiction of a film just takes her and quite literally sits her on the sidelines and makes her watch the screenwriter's girlfriend fight and kill her own nemesis.
He made me
Valid shit, Barry. I can't argue against it.
It kind of makes you happy that they didn't actually put Rebecca in these movies, huh?
Agreed.
But since you brought up Nemi, maybe we should expand on that since they fuck him up too.
Sure, go ahead, Donnie. Just give me a second.
Well, while he's apparently catching his breath from ranting so much, I just wanted to point out that Nemesis in this is just fucking ridiculous. I mean, in the other two games, he's obviously a mountainous mass of monstrous muscles, but in this, he's like 5'11".
He's got to be that short because they actually show that he was on a regular hospital gurney, which I find hilarious. Because at some point during the initial outbreak, you know that some nurses were told to not let any patients use that room. It's like that B-movie meme about using up hospital resources.
Even his first scene is pretty bad. Did they really give him blue-tinted Terminator vision? Because that kind of kills the whole bio-organic weapon aspect, I think. He's more of a machine to be given orders to, like a dog, instead of something let loose, like a monster.
You know, I've always kind of wondered about that scene a bit. Like, why the fuck is he even there?
What do we have?
Dozen armed men, well organized.
They had no idea that there were STARS members in that store. He's not programmed to kill them, apparently. And also, he won't just blatantly attack armed civilians. He's just an organic Ed 209.
Be loyal as a puppy.
As shitty as all that sounds, he's still pretty close to the original. I mean, at least he isn't dressed like he's going out on garbage day.
Joe, did you forget this movie's third act? Did you forget that Nemesis has to fight Alice in hand-to-hand combat to see who is stronger? Like this was a fucking Rumble in West Side Story?
I just love the implication that this hulking beast that can easily smash through walls needs to prove that he's the best in a fight club.
And then after saying Nemesis's real name a few times, Alice pulls out the biggest trick of all and appeals to his human heart.
Do not tell me the power of fucking friendship.
The power of friendship, Joe. It's so fucking strong that it changes Nemi's programming and he turns the guns onto his umbrella overlords.
Jesus fucking Christ. Trash.
Oh my God.
Literal sewage from Pelosi's own toilet.
That's right, boys. Alice's 2-hour bond with Matt from the previous movie was so strong that Nemi's heart
grew 3 sizes that day.
My own fucking heart can't take this shit, you guys.
And then it all ends with a fucking chopper landing on the ugly fucker.
I don't believe that shit. He survives falling, electrocutions, and even explosions in the face. But a helicopter crash is what kills him. Only a nuke can stop him.
Just chalk him up to the ever-growing list of chopper casualties in this franchise.
He's too good for that list, and you know it. What, did Discount Birkin not make him impact resistant?
Speaking of him, remember how we mentioned that this Nemi won't attack unarmed civilians? In fact, his shooting is programmed to be so accurate that it will purposefully miss civilians in the middle of a firefight. Yet the same fucking asshole who created him to be that way is also the same motherfucker that is 100% on board with killing unarmed civilians at the gate.
Do it.
Use of live ammunition has been authorized.
Well, this idiot was dumb as fuck anyways, seeing as how he shot the top researcher. Got pissed off at Ashford for going behind his back to use Alice to bring him his little girl, even though he needed Alice to get there in the first place.
You really thought I didn't know?
And also for having some sort of obsession for Alice, as if Anderson wrote literal lines of dialogue for him from his own fucking mouth.
Don't you understand how important you are to me? You became magnificent.
So of course this fucking slug would put a morality system into Nemi, and then put on a Pikachu face when shit goes south.
Guys, we need to wrap this one up. We've spent too long on it, however deserving it is, and we still haven't talked in depth about Alice herself.
Shit.
Well, she's much worse in this, that's for sure. She went from clumsy and naive to all-powerful and all-seeing. She appears so suddenly to places that need her, like she's Batman. The church scene alone is so nauseatingly obvious that she's supposed to be the hero. It's vomit-inducing.
I'm all for this, so let's break it down. First off, she smashes through a stained glass window that's easily 20 feet from the ground, which makes me think that either there's a ramp outside or the church is sunk into the earth. Her bike is then guided by the almighty hand of God straight onto its target. And just like the soothsayer she is, she then preemptively aims upwards, because when the bike collides with the liquor, it is then launched like a fucking Soviet rocket straight into the air without explanation. And thank God too, because her bullets hit the gas tank and turn everything into a fireball.
It's so fucking stupid. And don't the bullets themselves have little umbrella symbols imprinted on them? I get doing it on the casings, but on the bullets?
The fun's not over yet, Joe, because after posing for an explosive photo that will no doubt be in Paul Anderson's homework folder, she then twirls and holsters her guns like Wild Bill fucking Hickok, before pulling out her dual MP5s and shooting. Not at the liquor itself, but at the fucking chain so that the cross would fall onto it, showing off her precognitive powers like fucking Minority Report and knowing where it would land. And it all crescendos to a final blood splatter onto Jill Valentine's boot, like a disrespectful glob of spit.
And don't forget the sweet, delicious cherry on this shit cake.
I'm good, but I'm not that good.
And during this whole thing, I have to ask, why the fuck is she even there? At no point did they indicate that she knew there were people that needed help, or does she just steal bikes and randomly destroy church property?
Christ, the utter disrespect, and like we mentioned before, she's the same way in the school too. When a few zombie dogs are too much for Nikolai, and Jill's plan to burn them literally fizzles out, Alice is there to save the day like some sort of teleporting messiah.
The very aura around her is so powerful that she can simply keep the heat from melting their skin, since that blanket isn't covering their face.
Hold that thought for the next movie, Donnie. But yes, her powers are supposed to be peak. She can jump 30 feet into the air, kill zombies with a back kick like she was a horse, and apparently can now sense the T-virus or something, because for fuck's sake, she knows that the Ashford kid has it.
She's infected. She's infected on a massive level.
Narc! And she can even feel the presence of Nemesis over 50 yards away.
There's something down there.
I don't see anything.
Well, that doesn't alter the fact that there is something down there.
And even after Nemesis finds her the first time, she escapes with only a busted finger. That is literally all the damage she will receive before she's forced into fisticuffs with him, and even then she barely gets a scratch. I mean, shit, canonically, Jill gets slammed around and even impaled by Nemi in both the OG and remake.
How dare you imply that Alice has obvious plot armor, Donnie?
Wait, isn't there a moment after she escapes the Umbrella facility the second time where she looks at a security camera and just kills a guard for no reason? Just goes full Blue Sun Corporation on a guy just trying to make a living?
And then we have her final power, the amazing ability to steal actual movesets from already established scenes.
I just can't with this fucking movie. It's getting too bad, so I'm gonna say D and be done with it.
Well, in case you haven't been listening for the last 5 minutes, I'm already there. D for disrespect.
Wait, guys.
No.
Joe, you fuck. You can't be serious.
Just hear me out. Yes, this shit is terrible. Yes, it's disrespectful of already established properties. But we have to take into consideration that it at least references things belonging to the games.
And shit's all over them.
Donnie's right, Joe. What little homage it pays to the games is wasted no matter how close to the source material it is.
Yet, out of all the films in the Anderson saga, this at least tries to get as close to the source material as possible. I believe that where the first film was better than the rest, because it was still a good zombie film, Apocalypse is the best in the franchise with the references that it uses. I mean, come on, at least Jill and Carlos look like fucking Jill and Carlos. Nemesis is shown to at least kill some STARS members, unlike his 3-make counterpart, who doesn't actually kill a single one. Yes, it's garbage, but to me it's low C-tier garbage.
I'm sorry, Joe, but you're an idiot, and I completely disagree with you.
Unfortunately, I see where he's coming from, and for the sake of time, I'll relent to C-tier.
Fair enough.
So I just want to add, before we move on to the next one, that at the end, it's shown that after the heroes turning Morales' news camera footage of the outbreak, Umbrella covered it up and made Jill and Carlos wanted fugitives. But then after Alice commits an Akira-level homicide, both of them just get out of a vehicle to rescue her. How does Umbrella not give their guards photos to memorize who these two are?
Not to mention that not only is LJ with them for some fucking reason, but they also brought the fucking kid into the lion's den. Fucking why? Oh, and I guess now Alice has Terminator vision too?
I don't know. Who cares? Do either of you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to question how nobody noticed that Umbrella literally did the American dream and built what looks like a 40-foot concrete wall around the entire city, armed with guards and everything. I mean, don't get me wrong, this gives me a rock-hard Washington Monument, but goddamn, City Council didn't think that maybe that could be a problem.
You're really questioning the ethics of building such a fortification around a city?
I bet they got George Trevor to build it too.
Hey, look. I'm not saying I disagree or anything. I mean, obviously, Umbrella owns the entire town. And the cherry on top is that they had their own taxpayers front the bill. Beautiful, I say. I'm just curious how that conversation went. That's all. But I'm still all for making Raccoon City great again.
It probably went in the ways of some members going missing and being experimented on at the Nest until they got the okay. Hell, some of their council might actually be the first ones to come out and roam the streets.
Which is a perfect segue into my own question. We know that the movie starts pretty much when the first one ends. They take her away and all that shit, and you can hear the silky voice of Jason Isaacs say,
"We're reopening the hive. I want to know what went on down there."
So they show that it's daytime when they open it up, and boom, zombies.
Right, they obviously hate Jehovah's Witnesses.
Or Christmas carolers.
Didn't we do a Christmas carol ourselves?
Shut up, guys, I'm almost there.
Gross.
Jesus Christ.
It then tells us that 13 hours have passed since the opening of the Nest. We then see Jill at her apartment where she turns on the news to see the entire city in chaos.
Right, and there's newspaper clippings showing that she's been disgraced and suspended.
And for some reason, she's able to get to her apartment in Raccoon City, but needs the TV and her police scanner to tell her that shit is going down. That can't be right.
But it's not until she enters the police station where the truly infuriating thing happens.
She flagrantly fires into a crowded area full of cops and civilians regardless of her successful kills.
She straight up uses her gun to shoot the handcuffs instead of being the
master of unlocking.
And just using her lockpick?
No, it's when she tells the other officer.
They're infected. I told you, she could have had.
How the fuck would she know that? They literally said that the Nest opened only 13 hours ago. It was daytime when they opened it, and it's daytime now. So when would she have known about the zombies if the outbreak had literally happened the same day?
Maybe she figured it out while they were on the streets?
So she had to go home and kick off her heels first? Turn on the news to make sure that shit is still fucked out there?
Damn, he's got a point. She has newspaper clippings of her dismissal, yet she specifically says that she told them how to kill the zombies.
I told you, she could have had.
She couldn't have possibly gone to the mansion, survived, came back to blow the whistle on Umbrella, get suspended and have the papers printed all within 13 hours.
It's a lot of clippings too, easily a few days worth.
Fuck! That means that there was an opportunity to have a movie based on the Spencer Mansion. But instead, we get the leftovers.
And with all that said, you still think it's low C, Joe?
I'm gonna stick to my guns, Bear.
Fine, let's move on to Resident Evil Extinction.
This is the fucking desert one, right?
Yup, so I hope you like sand because it's all you're going to see for a long, long time.
I don't like sand.
It's also the one where you start seeing all the Alice clones, basically showing you what Paul Anderson does to all his Mila sex dolls when they fail him.
I will never understand the drastic 180 this franchise took right here. Apparently Umbrella's missile strike didn't work because Anderson didn't want it to.
Even though in the games it actually does.
And then in a matter of months, it literally destroys the world. Like, what the actual fuck is this virus?
Lakes and rivers dried up, forests became deserts, and whole continents were reduced to nothing more than barren wastelands.
It can destroy trees and rivers? Fucking how? In the first film, they actually explain what the virus does.
The T-virus provides a massive jolt both to cellular growth and to those trace electrical impulses. But quite simply, it reanimates the body.
How does that work with vegetation? We should actually be getting an apocalypse that looks more like The Last of Us.
Careful with bringing up that game, Donnie. You know how Barry feels about it.
You are treading on some mighty thin ice here.
Right, my bad. Let's keep focused here.
To be honest, there's nothing really salvageable in this film. The plot is as bland as the environment that surrounds the characters. And yes, even though a couple of them return from the last film, that doesn't really help its case.
No joke, this movie transitioned terribly from a generic Michael Bay explosive fuckfest to a bland Mad Max film in the blink of an eye. And I'm not giving any praise or anything, but they really dumbed down the action. It's almost like being in the back seat on a family road trip. Just mind-numbingly boring.
Joe's right, the tone of this went down drastically and the environment fucking sucks. Just sand, 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 sand.
Everything the light touches is
sand.
And it gets everywhere.
Let's just get this over with, and for fuck's sake, Barry, try not to overload us again.
Agreed. Well, like I said, they kept a couple of characters from the last film with Carlos and LJ coming back.
And Alice.
Yes, of course, and Alice. But since apparently 5 years have passed...
Desert must have taken it back. 5 years.
They've dropped Jill and Angela, and now we're just riding along with a bunch of zombie fodder. And motherfucking Claire Redfield.
Oh, fuck, look at what they did to my girl Claire. First, Alice steals her sweet-ass Code V moves, and then they box her in as the leader in a convoy that has no purpose, no goal, no fucking endgame.
Yeah, like what was the actual point of this fucking convoy again? They just hop from place to place, not really going anywhere. And I'd also like to point out that even though they mentioned they are running out of gas.
Truck's running on empty.
I've got half a tank of gas. That's it.
Chase?
Ah, shit, I don't even have empty.
They never actually do. One dude even says he only has about 100 miles left in the tank, but it doesn't fucking matter. None of this fucking movie matters.
I got enough for 100 miles, tops.
It's fucking tragic, I agree. But let's start up with the fact that every single person is absolutely worthless and does nothing whatsoever. There's no real suspense when it comes to these characters. We all know that unless you're a child, you're dead.
Oh, you mean the children that are so heavily plot armored that literal zombie blood sprays onto them and nothing happens? Like, seriously, why would you even risk hitting a zombie if the fucking windows to your bus are open? I thought this virus was the most infectious thing on the planet.
Just one bite, one scratch from these creatures is sufficient. And then you become one of them.
Basically, unless you're a well-known character, you're fucking useless. Seriously, by the time you finish this film, I bet you can't even remember a single person's name.
I can actually, and it's motherfucking Otto, the goofy bus driver who does that worthless canned goods trick that goes nowhere and smokes the rest of their pot.
Sorry, campers. Smoked the last of it back in Salt Lake.
They just took the Simpsons character and threw him in here for shits and giggles.
Am I on drugs? Yes, you are.
Seriously, you have stereotypical cowboy, only love interest for LJ, and then shitty discount radar from MASH. With their powers combined, they become worthless zombie food. I mean, shit, Claire even saves the shitty radio guy only to see him try and run away from safety rather than towards it. At that point, he fucking deserves it.
Get what you fucking deserve!
You forgot Kmart.
Who the fuck didn't?
I absolutely love the fact that they called her that. A person named after an irrelevant store chain is hilarious to me. Why did they name her that again?
That's where they found me.
Well, thank God they didn't find her in a Dick's Sporting Goods store then.
All this little bitch does is scream. She really didn't even do anything and wasn't important at all.
Yet they're going to make her important later on, as if Anderson is scoping out his next female lead, if you get what I'm saying.
Seriously, there isn't a single good character in this fucking film. Even the couple from the last film are still garbage. Look, I'm glad that LJ isn't a fucking slapstick clown trying to be the next Samuel L. Jackson.
GTA, motherfucker!
Motherfucker, please. You motherfuckers is crazy. Look at that big motherfucker got a rocket launcher. I see you, motherfucker.
But goddamn, he really didn't do anything but became the stereotypical zombie bite victim of the group. It would have been a much better scene if he actually had a heart-to-heart with Carlos before he offs himself or something. But no, he's got to keep this shit to himself and put the group in danger. This is the same motherfucker that yells at Carlos for keeping his bite secret too.
You told me you got bit, motherfucker. I'm hanging with you and shit.
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Wait, didn't he end up fucking that girl after he was bit?
So what do we say, dinner at my place tonight?
Oh, I'm there.
Refried beans, fruit salad.
Oh, my favorite.
They woke up together so most definitely.
Jesus Christ, what a fucking asshole.
Fucking an infected dude, that's what we call the old Mia Winters entanglement.
An entanglement?
And he ends up biting Carlos too, right before finally getting killed.
And nothing of value was lost.
Shit. It's good to know that LJ survived long enough to become an actual detriment to his friends. What a perfect way to end such a shitty character.
To be honest, I find it funny that we have more of an actual answer to what happened to Carlos through the Anderson saga than we do through Capcom's original canon. I mean, granted, him becoming the fucking love interest for Alice clearly meant that he should die, but he went out in a literal blaze of glory.
Having him be Claire's lapdog was just kind of weird, seeing as how both of them never actually meet up in canon. And speaking of Claire, her addition in this seems so far from left field. It was as if they knew they couldn't use Jill anymore and they had to bring someone from canon, so they just randomly pulled out Claire and ran with it.
No joke. And don't get me started on how everyone looks up to her for leadership.
This is Claire Redfield's convoy.
She's the one who put this convoy together.
Excuse me, I have things I have to attend to. I want my perimeter up.
Every decision she made led to more and more people getting killed. What was it that Carlos told Alice at one point?
The last 6 months, we lost half of the convoy. Pretty soon there'll be more of us dead than alive.
People have a habit of dying around me. Not just you.
She's definitely a fucking Redfield with how many people die under her command.
Was she even really in charge? I mean, at one point she tells Carlos that it's up to him whether they should check out that motel.
Claire.
Looks clear. Shall we go in?
It's your call, boys.
She even had to have a vote to take the convoy up to Alaska. I mean, shit, who's the boss around here? Because it never really seemed like Claire.
Hold up, Donnie. She does say that the decision is too big for her alone to decide for them.
We have a decision to make, and it's too big. It's too important for me to make for you.
Okay, true. But I would also like to point out that they're in this situation because of her. I mean, where are they going in the first place? Are they really just going from small town to remote gas stations to abandoned hotels forever? What kind of fucking plan is that? I get that she didn't want to go near large cities, but the way they were doing it was an obvious slow death sentence either way.
I didn't like how she was in this and not once mentions her brother at all. I mean, she's riding with Carlos fucking Oliveira, who fought alongside Jill Valentine. And Chris never gets mentioned once. Of course, I understand why later on, and we'll get to it soon. But it's still so stupid, especially since he's a huge motivation for her in the games.
I have to find my brother, Chris. I have to find you.
Why don't you send your brother the coordinates and ask him to come help?
Thanks. I'll do that.
I mean, there's no pizzazz to her character. At least with Jill, they showed off her ridiculous badassery. But in here, she's basically dumbed down to a fucking truck driver.
Break dancer!
I'd also like to point out that she makes the stupidest decision in the movie and basically gets all of her people killed.
Are you talking about the crate in Vegas?
I'm talking about the fucking crate in Vegas, Barry, yes.
Jesus Christ, what a fuck up this was. They come up on the shipping container on their way to get gas, but for some fucking reason, instead of just driving around or using that fucking semi with the medieval cow catcher in the front to just plow through it, she actually tells her crew to get out and move it.
We're gonna have to move it. Let's get this done.
No, you fucking don't. And that's why 50 zombie mechanics that look like the fuckers from The Descent rush out and tear your shit up. Every single death at this point is completely on her, just like a true Redfield.
Okay, can we talk about the villains now? Because for fuck's sake, this shit is just a rehash of the last film. Fucking Jorah Mormont over here basically simping over the most powerful woman on the planet before it was cool.
Yeah, let's talk about this Dr. Isaacs.
Really? They couldn't get Jason Isaacs back in here, so they decided to name a shitty Bond villain after him?
No joke. This motherfucker was just another Umbrella stooge obsessed with Alice, literally making naked clone after naked clone of her, as if Anderson is just fulfilling yet another fantasy for himself.
What was his main goal again?
Well, first he has a secret lab in the middle of the fucking desert, as if he wanted to make the house from Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Paul is truly the only director who's been able to crack the formula how to turn a video game into a movie.
Then he recreates some rooms from the first movie for nostalgia. He then makes a shit ton of traps like he was Lucas Baker, because Saw 3 came out a year earlier, and Anderson obviously wanted his crush to do that too.
He's completed the third test.
Specimen 87 has reached the final stage of the test grid.
So he wrote that all Isaacs wants is for a single Alice clone to finish the trial, which I guess means she is 100% the OG Alice, even though that can never happen, so that they can use her blood to reverse the effects of the T-virus, and ultimately...
You can domesticate them.
All right, and the other board members are pissy about it because it's taking him too long.
We're to be trapped underground for decades?
After months of experiments, you have nothing to show, and we are left to rot underground.
Then I guess you should actually made an effort to find Angela Ashford in the first place and not allow a psycho to kill the only fucking person who could have fixed this problem then. It's as if keeping the one man who actually made the antivirus safe should have been priority one instead of your shitty Nemesis program.
No shit, this dude getting bit from his own creation was deliciously
ironic.
And the fact that he looks like Uncle Fester while he's transforming is just beautiful.
True, until he turns into whatever the fuck that tentacly thing is and begins to decorate his office like he was channeling his inner Dracula.
Either that, or he just really wanted to use his newfound appendages to be like Nemi and get some hentai action on with Alice. But to be honest, I actually think they meant for him to turn into one of the OG tyrants.
Horseshit!
No, I think he's right.
Yeah, if you look at him, he's got it all. Exposed heart, deformed arm. He may be naked too, but I don't remember. Donnie's more of an expert in that field.
Figures you wouldn't know what a naked body looks like. It's probably been eons since you've been laid.
At least I don't have hookers past their prime on speed dial.
Focus, you idiots. Getting back to Isaacs, he's as unremarkable as Discount Birkin in the last film. First off, his plan to domesticate zombies is exactly the same as Day of the Dead, even down to the scene with the zombie using everyday objects.
Tremendous. This is amazing. He knows what it is.
And when Daddy Wesker doesn't give him what he wants, he actually uses AI to rework his voice into giving a direct order.
Release of vehicles?
That's fucking cringe. Using AI to have people say what you want because you can't get them to do it yourself. Lame as fuck, this one.
Speaking of which, we haven't even mentioned Wesker at all in this yet.
More like if you ordered Wesker from Wish.
No shit. This is literally what your mom means when she tells you, we have Wesker at home. I mean, for Christ's sake, he's a fucking bureaucrat in this. Literal chairman of the board.
How good of the science division to join us?
Chairman Wesker.
I can smell that his kids go to Ivy League schools and has a house in a community governed by an HOA that he probably runs too.
As menacing as he should be, he's really only a hologram in each scene he's in. He's about as effective as the Warden is in Callisto Protocol.
Just as threatening too. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if Crafton saw these board scenes and copied them.
Write that down, write that down!
He's completely neutered in this. He's been reduced to his RE0 persona with just on-screen talks and nothing more. I get that we're supposed to think, oh shit, it's the big bad. But then this fucking doppelganger fucks everything up. Now, I'm not saying I like Isaacs, but he could have actually won if Wesker didn't want identification of Alice to be 100%.
62%. Too great a chance to pass up. The original Project Alice is vital to my research, to the whole process of domestication. Her blood, her genetic structure is the key.
Exactly. Any form of Alice that's up on the surface should be considered the OG, since none of the clones made it that far. There's no reason not to send a strike force for her. What, is Umbrella running out of money? Can they not afford it or something? I mean, I thought the whole plan was to domesticate Alice. He even says it himself.
Project Alice, the subject of domestication, is of the highest priority.
And then here he is, sabotaging the entire operation.
We'll establish a positive identification first. 100%.
Ridiculous.
Not as ridiculous as Alice having a watch that tells her when satellites are over her location just to have her dumbass look up at it in the first place. Like, what the actual fuck is that thing? Because remember, this is supposed to take place in the early 2000s.
What kind of sci-fi bullshit is this?
All right, let's finish this up with Alice again. So I guess she has full-blown telekinesis now? Because she is definitely not shy on using it throughout the film.
Okay, come on now. How can you watch this and not think it's basically supernatural shit? I get that in Resident Evil, we're supposed to think that everything is just pseudoscience. Everything can be explained with viruses and shit, even with an obvious mystical little girl in 7, and an immortal being that can create their own dimension in 8. But let's be honest, Alice being able to do half the shit she can is definitely supernatural, and I'll fucking die on that hill.
No shit. This bitch is just a walking deus ex machina. She comes in to save the day from all the crows. Not to mention that she just so happens to have the one piece of hope for the remaining survivors.
You mean the book that she just randomly finds in an equally random location? And also, wasn't she able to sense the T-virus from the last movie?
There's something down there.
Then why couldn't she sense the fuck ton of zombies hiding in a crate that she literally walks up to? Or that LJ had been bitten?
And also, I guess she really is a fucking Terminator, since they actually have to shut her down like she's running on Windows 95.
Then shut her down.
And then she's just so goddamn powerful that she can mentally scramble the satellite that has her locked in. That's some fucking anime shit right there.
Like I said, she's the precursor to Rey Palpatine. Even when monsters or technology is created specifically to stop her, she just effortlessly overcomes them. I mean, for Christ's sake, this entire film is just basically Waterworld and Alien Resurrection.
Skywalker.
I refuse to call her that.
I get Alien Resurrection with giant corporation obsessed with cloning the badass girl boss, but Waterworld.
Alice is a mutant who wants to be left alone wandering the post-apocalypse and is super badass at everything they do. Hell, there's even a map that can lead to a promised land that hasn't been touched by what's happened to the world. Not that it even fucking matters anyways, given what's coming.
Jesus.
I hate this shit.
I agree with you guys. This is a straight D for me, to be honest. Which is sad, because even though you could look at it with the same angle as the first film, the fact that this one is just so, damn, boring is what drags it down for me.
Turning the world into Tatooine was not a good choice at all.
I agree. D for sure.
All right then, I want to change it up slightly and end these with a lightning round of bad shit. Who wants to go first?
Well, in the notes Alice finds, it says they could hear the broadcast each night from Alaska. How the fuck can someone in near Vegas hear a fucking ham radio broadcast over 2,500 miles away?
They explain it in the next one.
Yeah, I know, but if we're just focusing on this film, then somebody should have been suspicious of the authenticity of this broadcast easily.
The transmissions say that there's no infection up there. It's isolated. Safe.
I don't believe you.
They finally used crows in this film, but they're used as sky piranha, like the shitty flyers in Pitch Black.
I thought it was dumb how Alice is supposed to have been wandering the wastes for 5 years on her own, expertly keeping off the grid and surviving, yet gets fucking tricked by the easiest trap in the post-apocalyptic book. A woman crying.
My baby.
And also that the mom seemed to be okay with watching her son prepare to assault this woman too. Like, what the fuck? That's some fucking deliverance shit right there.
Claire loading about 8 people into a half-fueled chopper to, again, fly 2,500 miles to Alaska. Those fucking kids are not going to make it, I promise you that.
Alice actually having a bitching match with the White Queen on ethics.
I know your sister. She was a homicidal bitch.
My sister computer was merely following the most logical path for the preservation of human life.
Yeah, kill a few, save a lot.
Like, did she really scoff at the principle to saving billions of people? Not to mention that she had no problems about killing infected people in Apocalypse.
You should take care of him now.
All the technology that seems to be up and running in Claire's convoy. I mean, shit. With all the sand that's around, how the fuck do they get this high-tech shit going during the early 2000s? Even perimeter beacons and mobile security cameras, dumb as shit. It's no wonder they were desperate for gas with how much they needed just to keep the batteries going.
I'll say it again, Alice and her fucking clones. Anderson will literally find any way to get Mila naked.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
The fact that the laser room is the only thing that can kill Isaac's shitty form, and that Capcom literally used it in separate ways to kill the Martin Eco. Yet again, the only true gem to come out of Anderson's brain was the fucking laser room.
Damn, what a depressing way to end this one on.
They all are, Barry, every single one of them.
Well, before we go on, I think we should take a short break. I have to go watch something that's actually good.
Which is?
Anything at this point.
I'll go rest my eyes for a bit.
Don't rest them too long or I'll have to call Jill for a wellness check on you.
Kiss my wrinkled ass as I sit in your old chair, fat boy.
Not for long, you old fossil.